Okay, R3 is a report from the Development Services Division regarding application number RZ23G01 11224 Chemainus Road, PID 003067-327, and I believe the applicant's in the lobby, and I will be letting them in.
All right. Welcome back, Chloe.
I just want to check. I can see Ms. Irwin. Can you just test your audio so we know that we can hear you?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Presented before you is a zoning amendment application for the property 1124 Chemainus Road in Saltaire. The property fronts Chemainus Road to the northeast and backs onto the railway right-of-way. Currently, a single-family dwelling constructed in 1973 is used as the principal residence and is located on the southern portion of the property, and a lawfully non-conforming dwelling is located on the northern portion of the property, which was constructed in the 1950s. In my staff report, there's a summary of the relevant procedures, OCP policies, and zoning bylaw regulations. Staff consider the proposed zoning amendment to meet the above noted OCP policies. The OCP in particular notes that the rural character of the property of Saltaire should be preserved, and as the dwelling is already in existence, staff do not consider the proposed zoning amendment to negatively impact the rural character of the community. So the recommendation is before you on the next slide, I think. And I'm here for questions, and so is the applicant.
Would the applicant like to add anything? Ms. Irwin?
I'm not sure I can add a lot. I think the only thing that came up when I was reviewing the report was just to emphasize that the accessory dwelling unit that I have is, as Chloe points out, it is it's lawfully non-conforming as it stands, so it's usable, but without the rezoning, I can't really make any alterations to it or upgrade it or make it more usable for family members or caregivers. So I just, sorry, I feel like I'm coming in late, but I think it was mentioned that I have a daughter who's 18. She's moving towards adulthood, but she requires 24-hour care. She's disabled and medically complex. So I have a whole team of caregivers, and I'd like to keep my daughter living with me on my property, whether in the main home or in the accessory dwelling unit that I have. And but I can't really do anything with it under my current zoning. So that's why I'm seeking a rezoning to R2A, so that I could potentially get a permit to make alterations. So yeah, I just wanted to clarify that point.
Thank you. Any questions for staff or Ms. Irwin? Director Martman.
So I believe most of us have received correspondence on this about that we've seen, some of us have seen this similar application before, and wondering about the requirement for an OCP amendment. Can you speak to that?
Thank you. Through the chair to Director Martman. So staff interpret the OCP policies to support this application. There is one sentence in the official community plan in the suburban residential local area plan designation that speaks to allowing for a second dwelling on a particular property with a specific PID. Staff interpret this as an enabling statement for that property and not as a restriction for all other properties. So this zoning bylaw, in our interpretation, would not be in contravention of the official community plan, so we would be permitted to adopt it.
Any other questions? Director Atkin.
The only thing, I don't know Saltaire that well. Does the community have concerns around units becoming Airbnbs in this area?
Through the chair to Director Acton, I personally don't know if the community has concerns. I mean, I think broadly speaking, based on some of the other initiatives that are going on at the CBRD, mainly the economic development strategy, affordable housing, I know there are community concerns broadly about Airbnb, but I don't know particularly about Saltaire.
Yep. So to me, that would be the only, one of the strongest concerns. Because, you know, we used to hear a lot from Director Yanni DiNardo, you know, we zone the property, not the person. So the property gets zoned, and then my concern would be that it would be taken out of affordable housing or for a caregiver, as mentioned, or a nurse or her daughter. So, yeah, that's it.
I'm going to turn to the director of the area. What would you like to do?
Through the, excuse me, through the chair, thank you. Hopefully maybe just give me a little latitude. I do have a question at the end. I do just first want to say hi to Val. Val and I met when I was campaigning before I had decided to run, and hearing about her situation and the fact that her application was not approved the last go around. I don't know much about that whole process, but it was certainly something that motivated me. It felt like, you know, I don't know if an injustice is too strong of a word, but it didn't sit with me very, very well. You know, as she mentioned, her daughter is disabled and has special needs. And actually, Val, I've asked her, has given me permission to talk about this at different times. You know, for that purpose alone, I think it's right and reasonable. But the other part is this cottage was built in the 50s. It's legal, non-conforming. It's there. You know, to bring it under the purview of the CVRD and bring it up to code and compliance, I think, is absolutely the thing we should be doing with properties of this nature. The other thing I can say for sure is there is absolutely widespread support for Val and this application. There was quite a bit of outrage that it wasn't able to go through. You know, large community support. So, you know, I hope that you'll sort of take those words and as you're thinking about which way to vote. So my question, which I've forgotten now, give me 1 second. Gosh, I can't believe that. Oh, there it is. So I personally would like to move this through as quickly as possible without a public hearing, and I'm just not sure what I recommend. So is it that it be recommended to the board? Is that like a 2-part recommendation, or is it a 1 and a 2? Yeah. What? Say that again. Oh no, I would like to have it go through and be approved as quickly as
Yeah,
possible.
I believe the two, sorry, I don't have the staff report right in front of me, but I believe the two recommendations are to start drafting the zoning bylaws immediately and to proceed without a public hearing. So it would go straight to first and second reading, and we would do the public notice right away, and then would have no public hearing, which would be the fastest process.
Through the chair,
Yes.
would like to move that.
Do I have a seconder? I have a seconder. Director Morrison.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'll fully support this, and I just want to remind everyone that if, you know, we shouldn't forget that we're in a housing crisis. And I attended an event the other day. There was one yesterday about, which I didn't go to, and maybe some of our colleagues did, about fast tracking the increase in inventory. And while this is in existence, this is exactly the kind of thing that we can do. And with the director for the area's desire to expedite this, I think we have to be looking at every application that comes before us with that mindset that we need to be proceeding to create the inventory because the demand is outstripping the supply that we've been producing over years, and we really have to step it up. So I fully support the resolution. Thank you.
Other comments, Director Martman?
And maybe also a question. I think I don't have a problem supporting this. I appreciate the explanation of the OCP because I think that came up before. But I also recognize Director Acton's point, and I was wondering, is there any limitations on short-term rentals in this area for the zoning, or is it something that a covenant could be explored?
Through the chair to Director Martman. So I don't have all of the zoning bylaws memorized, but I do know that in most of them, short-term vacation rental for suites is not permitted. It's only bed and breakfast use, which is really specific. It usually is 2 to 3 rooms, and the owner has to live there. It has to be within the principal dwelling. Yeah, so that speaks to the zoning question. In terms of a covenant, that is something, if the board wishes to consider, that staff could be directed to work on.
Yeah, I think if you already have it in the established bylaws, then that's fine. If it wasn't, I would be looking for something like that to protect the land and the use downstream. Thanks.
Director Wilson?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I do understand the concerns that Directors Acton and Martman have, but in this particular case, I'm not sure that a covenant is a good idea at all. This came forward before. I know the background fairly well. And in this particular case, again, I've used that phrase, we should fast track this, get it done. No covenants, no distractions, no diversions. Let's let this go forward as quickly as we can. And I would fully support what's going on here. Thank you.
Anyone else? Call a question. All in favor? Anyone opposed? Motion's carried. Thanks, Ms. Irwin. All right, let's take a 10-minute break.